Welcome to RealmCast, Season 2, Episode 5. I'm GameMasters Zbornox, and I am with fellow GameMasters Buff and SirRacha. We are coming to you from Kabam headquarters in a room with some sound recording equipment. Today's episode will include player Q&A and many, many community updates, which may or may not include some rapping. First up, SirRacha is going to update us on something new going on in-game. Game update.
So we actually have some interesting motion going on in a lot of like our social media outlets. So if you in the future go to check out our former YouTube page, you'll probably notice that it's not working anymore. And that's because we are actually migrating that to the more official, new and improved Realm of the Mad God YouTube channel, which is now youtube.com/realm. So be sure to look out for that in the future. We're going to be updating it with future RealmCast and actually putting more of a focus on player-generated content. So if you guys have some cool videos that you want us to check out and feature, feel free to send them on over to us, and we'll feature them on the new YouTube channel. Additionally, we're scrapping SoundCloud. So we essentially just use SoundCloud to post up a lot of our RealmCasts and stuff like that. But we figured that everybody likes videos better. So since videos are cooler than, just audio tracks, you can actually find future RealmCast uploaded to the new YouTube as well and save up to SoundCloud. And
if you still want to download the RealmCast, that'll be available off of our YouTube as well. So just look for that.
Indeed.
As some of you may have noticed, we've had a few hotfixes in the last few weeks. Buff, would you like to talk about what was in all of them?
Recently we've had a few engineers working on some occasional, some bug fixes, a few updates for pets, and just general playability issues, while we've had the rest of our engineers working on some of the bigger features. We recently came out with the ability to delete pets from your pet yard, which I know is something that everybody wanted. We all wanted it too.
Yeah.
So we were glad that we got that introduced. There's been a few things that we've been doing regarding frame rate issues and trying to combat the lag. You'll see things being rolled out in the most recent hotfix and in some of the future hotfixes. But there's a lot of things that we've been working on, which should help your overall gameplay. Some of the stuff that we have coming down the pipeline is going to be add a lot more to what's going on your screen. And so we wanted to make sure that we could take care of some of the lag issues that players have been experiencing, some of the frame rate issues. And hopefully you'll see some improvements with the new hotfix and in some of the next few releases that we have coming out.
We also have a new dungeon.
Forest Maid's Dungeon that just came out yesterday, I think.
Oh, yeah. Have you run it yet?
I did. I actually took the opportunity to run it yesterday.
Yeah, it was kind of a quick dungeon that we put together just to kind of help players get used to the confused ability.
Oh, right.
And, just something for the new players that come in to kind of help them introduce to some of the aspects of the game. Don't worry, there's a lot more high-end content that's being worked on, but it's going to be on a lot bigger scale, so it takes a little bit longer. A little dungeon like this for kind of new players we can do relatively quickly. So we just wanted to throw it in with the fix.
So besides running this new dungeon, what have you guys been doing in your personal accounts, your personal Realm accounts?
Trying to keep my characters alive. So far, one of the better characters that I made that's actually starting to live more is my Paladin. So he's tearing it up as I do more and more of these events, these dungeon runs and spawnathons and everything with you guys. So that guy is pretty cool, and I've just been working on him and working with him, and I'm trying to actually level up another necromancer because they keep dying on me. So tragic, I know. Oh, and I had a priest, and he died, and it was very tragic for me because I was getting really acquainted with the gameplay with the priest and healing people.
Do you have any pets on any of these?
Well, I have a jalapeno pet on my paladin.
Nice.
That we'll be using sometime soon.
Can I just say that I love your paladin, because whenever I'm in game and I see SirRacha, he just reminds me of George Washington when I see his paladin, and it's very cute.
Yeah, I needed something to stand out, and I don't see too much of the George Washington skin. So if you happen to see a George Washington running around named SirRacha, that's probably me. So say what's up.
With a little jalapeno pet.
With the little jalapeno pet.
I have I guess you would call it a secret account, so I can play normally, and I play every Saturday with it with some of the moderators. I've been trying to level up certain characters. I leveled up a wizard and the archer, and now I did the rogue, and I've decided that I really just like the rogue, and I like the speed of the rogue, and I like to do tombs and trenches with the rogue because for me it's just a better experience. But I've really been learning a lot, and the mods have been really awesome at teaching me. So
shout out to the mods.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, for me, I've been trying to get used to the switch from when I play on Buff Soldier and to when I play on my private account, and the fact that Buff has all these things that I just kind of grant him because he just runs around, and then my private account has like none of those weapons and none of that gear, and it's like you go from. With Buff, I can pretty much run anywhere and shoot whatever I want. And with my private account, I just die all the time.
So it's a great, realistic experience to have these unnamed accounts or these, because we know what it's like to level up a character and then lose it. And we totally get it. So
painful.
It is very painful. Speaking of the moderators, we're going to start a segment here on RealmCast in which we interview the moderators, and our first interview that we had for the moderators is Blackjam. So I'm going to let you listen to a little sit down I had with Blackjam this last weekend, and I hope you enjoy. So we will be right back after this 3.5-minute interview. Getting to know the realm of the Mad God moderators. We have with us today one of the Realm of the Mad God forum moderators. It is my most delightful pleasure to introduce one of the most recent mod additions to the team, Blackjam. Blackjam, hi, and welcome to RealmCast.
Hello, Zbornox.
You sound a little bit like Lord Ruthven right now.
If he is from Croatia or former Yugoslavia, yes.
So let's discuss you for a minute, Blackjam. Who is Blackjam?
My real name is Marko Tojic, and I am, again, from former Yugoslavia, where I was a hot dog and balloon vendor. I currently reside in Miami Beach, Florida, where I have a medium-sized dog named Sad Clown and a best friend, Branko, who is a road magician.
You've been many places. You've done a lot of things. How did you get started on Realm of the Mad God?
I'll just clarify that I'm some dude from Florida likes playing Realm and browsing the forums. I started playing in February of 2012, around the time RotMG came to Steam. And at the time, I was looking for a game to pass the time until Guild Wars 2 came out. But after playing for a few months, I realized that I had found a game that I really enjoyed and wanted to stick with.
What point in your life were you at when you heard the calling that you just knew you had to be a forum moderator for Realm?
So I had been talking with Stupidity and McFarvo, two of the other mods, through PMs for a while, and the topic of becoming a moderator came up. Right around the same time, the moderator application thread popped up. So I figured I'd try my hand at something new and gain some experience.
So Blackjam, tell me, what's a day in Realm life like for you as a mod?
So as far as mod duties, I try to log in a few times a day throughout the day. Not at work. Definitely not at work, to scan through the different forums, move threads around, add descriptions to thread titles, and clear out spam. And after the basic maintenance stuff is done, I like to read through some of the more interesting threads and see what everyone is up to. It's kind of like a little town we have, and I see myself as just walking around, sweeping the streets, lighting the lamps, and stopping in at local shops and restaurants to hear the latest on Realm in the community.
We have a few rapid-fire game questions for you, Blackjam.
Oh, cool. Lay it on me.
Don't even think about it. Just say what first comes to your mind.
Done.
Favorite Realm character?
Assassin.
Favorite dungeon?
Ocean Trench.
Favorite color of cloths or dyes?
Yet to be determined.
What Realm character would you like to take for lunch?
I would take the rogue out to lunch, and I would borrow his Planewalker cloak, and we would eat taffy and drink root beer.
Thank you so much for your time in both in-game and in this interview, Blackjam.
Yay!
Yeah.
I am a hot dog.
If players want to get a hold of you or any of the other mods, how can they go about doing that?
Yeah, so they can simply shoot us a group PM, and that way they're more likely to catch whichever mods happen to be on in that moment.
Thanks for stopping by, sir.
My pleasure, Z. See you guys in game.
That was our forum moderator, Blackjam. Thanks again for sitting down with me and having a little chit-chat. That was really fun. Community news. So it has been an eventful April. Lots of events going on. And SirRacha, why don't you tell us about the last one that we talked about on our last RealmCast? Let's just finish up with an update on the Mad Rapper.
Oh, yeah. So the forum rap contest took place early in April, and we actually had a ton of submissions going. It was a really successful event. A lot of you guys did lyrics. A lot of you guys did, some audio. Some of you guys did YouTube videos, and they were all awesome. So thank you for everyone that submitted. Our top five that placed were actually Crackloot, B-Law, Wiserhood, Ryu E, and M Ziggles. And of those five, two of you guys actually, I think it was Crackloot and B-Law who actually produced their own beats and raps and stuff like that. So they killed it, man. They did a really good job. So when it came down to the vote, Crackloot actually took the win with his YouTube video. Do we have a video of that, or are we going to post that?
Yeah, we can post the video, and let's just close the RealmCast with the song.
Cool. We'll do that. Also, shout out to B-Law, man. Your track was personally one of my favorites. It was one of the that came in first and was pretty sick.
Yeah.
So shout out to you too, man. Great work, guys, on the lyrics, and good job.
I also want to thank the community for coming together and voting and really participating in this event, for not only those who wrote their own raps and participated that way, but those who supported the rappers. I'm just on the winner Crackloot's YouTube, and I'm reading these comments, and they're great. So, this is the best rap I've ever heard. You're going places, man. That's great. That's some great positive reinforcement. Another person said, you have a lot of swag, which who doesn't want to have a lot of swag? Basically, Buff has a lot of swag, but
he does.
That's only here at work. But yeah, so great. Thanks for everybody for coming together for that event. It was really fun. So, yeah. And I have to say, when I was sitting at my desk, and every time a submission would come in, SirRacha would be like, "Oh my gosh, this is great! You have to listen to this." And so we spent a majority of the day listening to these rap songs.
Yeah, they were definitely good. So great work, guys.
Nice. So after the Mad Rapper, where did we go from there?
We went on to Tough Tumor, and that was actually pretty fun. I'm not gonna lie. It was basically an event based off of guilds. So I know that PvP content is kind of something that we don't really see a lot of in the game. So I thought, what better way to kind of bring in some sense of competition to the game, but then to kind of pit guild versus guild action. So we ran Tough Tumor, and it was essentially just like a race to see who could do the fastest tomb. So we had a bunch of guilds register, and then essentially we had 5 that were chosen, and they were competing against one another to see who can win the fastest, who can actually run the tomb in the fastest time. So of those guilds, we had Wu-Tang, the Wu-Tang Clan, McDonald's, Church of Smemby, Monocle Alliance, and Nightingale. So it was really cool. It was like we coordinated all the times with you guys to go ahead and actually run the tomb. And in the end, it was Nightingale who took it, and they actually were able to clear the tomb in 6 minutes and 2 seconds. So good job to them. Yeah. You guys will be getting your guild your Spawnathon of Champions coming up pretty soon. I think we're doing it on Thursday.
That's very bonding of you.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I wonder what their strategy was, because that's an amazing time. 6 minutes and 2 seconds.
Yeah, and we actually set some like hardline rules, like you couldn't teleport to your buddies, and you had to kill all the sarcophaguses and kill all the bosses in order for it to be done. So
nice.
They killed it. Good job, guys.
I stood in with McDonald's and did their timing with them, and I have to say they made my Friday night. It was a lot of fun. I had a good time. And are we going to be doing events, another Tough Tumor again?
We have, I'm scheming something right now. I'm thinking about calling it Tough Trencher.
Ooh.
So look for that in the coming weeks. It'll be a time trench run. And
are you talking to Thessel about this?
Thessel, we're not on speaking terms, actually.
She is moody.
Yeah, she gets grouchy sometimes. I don't know.
Cool. So I look forward to the Tough Trencher then. We'll hear more about that in the coming weeks. Spring break in the realm.
Oh, that's right. It was spring break. We saw a lot of
spring breakers
and bathing suits. Some less revealing than others.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah. But yeah, we actually did the spring break beach party boogie down. That was really cool. I noticed that since I started doing these beach party things and like spawning bosses for people and like beat zones, just the server capacity of all the people wanting to come in and participate actually kind of like slowed down the game a lot. So to bring an interesting twist to this, we ended up opening multiple beach zones so that if you either went into the wrong one or you went into the right one, and if you went into the right one, which is the one that I went in, you got to fight some cool bosses that I spawned for you, and if you went into the wrong one, you could have just tried again later, and it actually helped take care of a lot of the lag issues that we were seeing with the first couple of spawnathons that we did, or similar events like that. So, good job. It was a lot of fun, guys.
Fabulous.
It was really cool.
Fabulous. Thanks, everyone, and I hope you enjoyed your spring break on Realm. A lot of our community seems to enjoy the lore contests, I would have to say.
Yeah. I'm actually starting to see, or since the first one that we ran, which was the Realm of the Mad lore contest, I think like a month or two ago, we have some really, really cool creative minds. And, me, myself, I have a background in writing, so it's kind of cool to, see what you guys can actually put out there. And, so I do realize that you guys actually like these writing contests. So look for more of these to come out. For the Priest lore contest that we did, gearing up for Priest class runs, couple weeks ago, we actually saw some good entries. So shout out to Merchant Co., Space Chess, and Averthorn, who actually, won this contest. We picked theirs, and they got some fame for their awesome, talented writing skills.
I wanted to point out how talented Merchant Co. is. His story was very descriptive, and when I was reading through it, I could actually see the images in my mind of the situation that went on. To summarize, his story is about a man that went mad, basically. He completes years of work to bring back the wrongfully dead people that he killed, and then he gets murdered at the hands of one of the people that he killed.
It's very Shakespearean.
Very, very tragic. The use of imagery in this particular story is, like I said, very amazing, and I'd like to read a segment of the winning story to really give the listeners a taste of these descriptive words.
Can you do it in a cool voice?
I'm going to try. Zbornox reads a story. Horace lunged at the servant and threw him against the floor. "Master, spare me! I did everything I could!" The servant gasped. Staring at the looming figure of Horace. "You have caused this, haven't you? What kind of demon are you, you lowlife?" Horace grabbed him by his collar and clasped his throat. The servant flailed his limbs and let out a muffled scream. "Join my wife and wait on her in the afterlife." With a firm crunch, the servant's windpipe collapsed. His body fell onto the floor, motionless. Boom. I might have mixed up some voices there, but moving on. Congratulations.
Yeah, congratulations, guys. Enjoy your 2000 fame. Use it wisely. Use it on your pets, and great work.
Partnered up with the Priest lore, we also had some Priest runs, right?
Yeah, that's right. We actually ran the Priest lore event right before Priest runs just to get some enthusiasm going for them, and those were a lot of fun. You know, I try to do these classroom run events every, at least a couple times a month. So, we opened up dungeons. Everybody brought their priest. Everybody had an excess of HP going around, so that was really cool to stay alive all the time. And then, following the priest runs, we actually had a Dun Run Sunday last Sunday. Those are always fun because, it's like basically there's no real stipulation to sit there and be like, oh, you have to be a priest or you have to be an archer. No, this is just open dungeon runs for everybody who wants to come in and check them out and run some dungeons. So that was a lot of fun too.
No way.
Totally.
Nice.
Yes.
So what do we have coming up?
So coming up, we actually are celebrating Cinco de Mayo. They're actually going to call it Realmo de Mayo.
Nice.
And that's going to be similar to St. Patty's Day. So we'll be doing a little, more details on that to come. But essentially, we're doing a jalapeno pet chase. So if you guys have seen the little chili pepper pet with the sombrero, he's going to be running around dropping some cool things for you to pick up. So look for updates on that in the near future and a bunch of other cool stuff going on.
Yeah, so check out the forums because that's where it's all at. Player Q&A. First question is from Deadly Kiwi. Question is, what are the reasons the UTs are soulbound? This is something that we've been asked quite a lot, and I believe we've talked about it a lot in the forums.
There's a couple reasons that we do it, that we have chosen to soulbind these things. One is to kind of combat the real-world trading sites that are out there that are actually selling these items. Two, which I think is one of the bigger reasons why we actually chose to soulbind untiered items, is because these are some of the best items in game. So we really wanted to make it feel like some kind of sense of achievement of actually getting these items and keeping them. So if you have a UT or untiered item, you should be proud because you actually farmed it and got it.
So the next question we have is from Mayblung, and the question is, when are these lag, trade panel, enter button to dungeons and such, the auto fire bug, UT's soulbound, and the many other things going to be fixed? What should we expect as faithful, even less everyday players? So as we mentioned earlier in the RealmCast, we've been working on some performance enhancement fixes that we've been releasing. You'll see some things with some of the releases we have coming out. There's a lot of things that it just takes time. And in regards to UTs being soulbound, there is no plan to unsoulbound them anytime soon.
All right, this next question comes from Corp Giro. Corp Giroro. His question is, will this game ever go back to play to win?
I think that's an interesting question, because if you look at a lot of feedback that we get in the forums from players, you'll see players saying, the game's too easy. We want nothing should be sold in the shop. And then you have players saying you should make UT items tradable again. And so to me, like, to purchase a UT in-game using stat pots or whatever, to me takes away from the playable aspect of getting a UT. If you really are trying to play the game for items, then it would make sense that you are playing to actually get that item, which is, we're not trying to farm, stat pots. So you kind of get a little bit of a different feedback from players in a lot of different ways on how to, on what pay to win and what play to win is, or what pay for convenience is or play for convenience is. In essence, with the in-game economy, stat pots is a form of currency. Mm-hmm. And so if you are paying stat pots to somebody for a UT item, in essence, you're paying and not playing. I personally see stat pots as a form of actual currency. The real-world trading sites have, in essence, created a dollar value for stat pots, a dollar value that the player base actually adheres to. So the in-game economy, in a way, reinforces the idea of paying in the game. which is something I think a lot of players don't necessarily realize. A lot of the stat pots in the game are brought into an influx through players selling them to World War trading sites, selling them to these sites that are, trading it for an item or something. You are creating that paying aspect in the game. And everything's connected. You can't have one without the other. You can't take one away without taking something else away from the game as well. So the play-to-win aspect is a very broad term, and I think it's thrown around way too much in the game. It's thrown around way too much in most online games. You can't win just because you have a certain item. You can still lose. You can still be a horrible player. It actually takes skill.
That's a good point. Yeah.
And one of the things that we're working on right now is to add a lot of new content that's going to take a lot more skill. That's going to really take this game to a whole nother level. And hopefully you should start seeing some of those releases coming out very, very soon.
The next question is from Merchant Co. And they ask, will there be any fan lore competitions in the future? Perhaps with longer word limits and better prizes. Thanks.
First of all, shout out to you, Merchant Co. And congratulations on being one of our winners in the most recent lore contest. Good job. And to answer your question, yes. So just from working with the community for these last few months, I'm already starting, as mentioned earlier, I'm already starting to realize that you guys really, really enjoy these competitions, these lore contests. One thing to keep in mind is, for the purposes of time, I have to actually put these word limits and, constraints on, how long we can actually have people submitting these stories to, just because I don't want to have a pile of 200, 1,500 word stories, to read through and then have you guys waiting forever to get prizes as me and the other GMs read through them. But with that in mind, we will be running more of these contests. We will be focusing them more on different aspects of the game. So look for lore contests about the history of a particular dungeon, the history of particular items, of more classes with better prizes. Potentially, yes. I mean, depending on the amount of work that goes into that we're asking you guys to put into your stories, there's always going to be a chance at getting some better prizes, whether it be fame, whether it be gold, whether it be in-game items, So just to answer your question, in the short term, yes, and you're welcome.
This next question comes from RandoMG, or Random G, or Rand OMG.
Or Ramdong.
Or Ramdong. Do you feel that the prices of in-game items, as well as the hook of an overpowered pet in a permadeath game, is at all exploitive? Do you feel at all that you're not only gouging players, but preying on them as well, especially the younger ones? Just wondering how you, or whoever sets the prices, deals with issues like this internally.
That's actually a really good question. One of the things we really do try to take into account when looking at prices and looking at the value of items is the fact that there is, in essence, 3 economies within Realm of the Mad God. There is the player-based economy, which is what you trade stat pots for. There is the real-world trading economy, and there is the economy based off of what items are priced at in the shop. I don't know if a lot of players realize this or not, but all 3 economies are directly affected by each other. So what a real-world trading site charges for something directly affects what how many stat pots or what type of stat pot an item costs, which then is something that we have to look at too when setting pricing. It is an economy, so when your market crashes, the whole in-game market crashes. It's kind of fascinating that it really is a real-world economy, in essence, in Realm of the Mad God. The prices that are being charged for something is the value that you as players see an item at. If something is extremely rare, obviously it's going to be more valuable. If something is more common, the price is going to drop. And so if you look at what recently happened with the duping exploit, that was players duping items, which in essence killed the in-game player economy. So the player base in Realm of the Mad God kind of killed their own economy which then directly affected what real-world trading sites saw the value of something as. It impacted, what stat pot rates are. And then it's going to affect what shop prices are. Everything is kind of harmonious. Players perceive that most of the players in this game are pretty young. There are, a lot of, kids that play this game, but there's actually a lot of adults that play this game too. One of the really cool things about the free-to-play industry is that it's kind of changed what traditional gameplay has been. Traditionally for console games, the player base has generally been, anywhere from about 12 years old to like 24. But what you see now with free-to-play games and games that, play on your phone or on Facebook or, kabam.com is that the player age range is now from about 12 to about 70 years old.
Wow.
So you have a lot more players that play the game, which also means you have a lot of players that come from different backgrounds, different financial stabilities, just different, different parts of the world too. Because you're playing with people we have players in Realm that play in Japan, that play in Chile, that play in, the U.S., play in Great Britain. You're playing with players from all over the world. And that's a lot of different societies. That's a lot of different ways of life, all playing one game. Realm of the Mad God is a world. And so you have players who have different backgrounds that are all trying to coexist within one world. The prices that are set in the shop are generally based off of the player perceived value. And while to some players that might seem insanely high, to a lot of players, if you look at the in-game economy and you look at the value that players themselves have kind of set for the items, they all relate.
Next question is from Jammy Dude. In terms of creative freedom and the ability to generate content which appeals to as many as possible, would you consider the recent increase in monetization attempts to be helpful in funding better content? Or does it, in some respects, hinder the ability to add content, as it may not coincide with the free-to-play monetization model for this game? In other words, do you find monetization attempts to be getting in the way of Realm's potential as a creative success?
I feel that there's always going to be some level of creativity to Realm of the Mad God, regardless of if you're, seeing packages pushed in the modal or seeing items pushed in the shop. I mean, in the end, Realm of the Mad God is a game with an awesome community, and it has some really cool functionality in it based off of a lot of the design. So there's always going to be some level of creativity, whether it be a new feature or a new dungeon that people get to run. We're always looking for implementing some kind of fun content into the game that players actually enjoy. I think one thing that kind of gets overlooked a lot is that players seem to think that we are, this conglomerate company and that we're rolling in piles of money. I mean, we've all seen the Mike Sellers memes, which are funny. I find a bunch of them funny. But at the same time, we do have bills to pay. Realm of the Mad God. If we aren't, selling these items, or you're not seeing these packages being pushed, we're not. Realm of the Mad God isn't. There's no game. So there are costs to actually keeping the game alive and keeping it fun. As far as creative potential, I mean, I think the content that the players generate themselves speak for itself. If we have people producing raps and producing cool ass art for this game, I think there's definitely something to be said for that. If our player base is taking it on themselves to do this, we got something good going on here.
And we have artists that work, with the game, and developers that are highly creative individuals. So no matter what, we have a good mix of people on this team to really bring out and enhance the creativity that comes out of this. The next question is from I'm Toby. Why do you keep releasing overpriced packages instead of fixing the bugs in the game?
So I think this is something that we've tried to address multiple times. And quite simply, those are two completely different things. Fixing bugs in the game is an engineering aspect. That's something that it's coding time. It takes a lot of work and it takes time. To release a package in the game does not take away from that time in any way. We have tools that allow us to create packages, that allow us to, put certain things together that allow us to run certain events that, have been created by the engineering team. So when we're running a forum event, or we're running, a package in the game, or we're running a sale, that's not something that takes away from the time that's being put into fixing bugs in the game.
Different people are working on each little segment. And I believe we actually have a map of our positions here for Realm.
Yeah, that's right. You can if you check out the Stickies in the Realm of the Mad God section on the forums, Seven did he put together this whole post called Forums Datum, and it basically takes you through not only just like the way the forums are set up, but actually Team Realm. So it's actually like a cool little graph that shows who does what on the team, who's in, how many where the engineers sit, where Mike Sellers is on the list, and where us, the GMs and the people who make these packages are. So they just to elaborate again, these are two completely separate, really, departments in the game. So the people that are pushing the packages and taking questions from you guys aren't the people that are doing the coding to actually fix some of these bugs. That's a completely different development resource that goes into fixing them.
So if you want to get a visual of this, please check out Seven's post on the forum, Stickies.
This next question is from Mechanics, and Mechanics asks, I don't care whether this is read on air. I simply want, at the very least, it stated at some point in the recording that the staff working on this game has acknowledged my question and is looking into its validity. Question. Currently, the cost of pets seems unfairly high. Things such as fame versus gold prices, example, the sudden augmentation in the ratios when purchasing housing upgrades, the jump from 2,000 to 25,000 to upgrade housing, it seems arbitrary and causeless. The fact that there is no equivalent to a purchase-only item, ambrosia, with the highest feed power in the game gives an advantage to those willing to pay. Will these disproportional components be addressed?
There will be additional items in the game that will be introduced to the game to feature your pets. Some of those items, or a lot of those items, will probably be with Elder Realms, as well as drops in different dungeons and stuff. There's always things that are going to be added. Pets wasn't kind of a one-time feature release. It's something that will continually have new content added to it, and we're continually looking at ways to improve the pets feature. And we've been looking at a lot of you guys' feedback regarding what you like and what you don't like as far as pets. That's why one of the first things that we did after releasing pets was creating the ability to delete pets from your pet yard. We really are looking at the feedback. As far as the cost for pets, pets was designed as something that was not quick. Or let me rephrase it. It was something that was designed that was not supposed to be quick to achieve. You're not supposed to be able to max out Divine Pet overnight. It's long-term content. It's something that you should be working towards building up. A good example would be, when you first start the game, you shouldn't be getting a coral bow. You start out with, some weak little bow, and over time you build it up. You raise the tier of your bow as you face higher content, as you play the game. And pets is kind of the same way. You're supposed to go out there and gather fame and, gather items and feed them to your pet and level your pet slowly over time. So the ability to purchase something is kind of the same thing as what you see in the shop. When you see, a tier 9 weapon or something in the shop, you can buy it or you can keep playing the game. So, there's an advantage to it, but it's not supposed to take you all the way there. It's only supposed to give you a little bit of a bump. And, it's something that we are trying to carefully monitor within the game. We want it to be content. We want it to be long-term content. And we want it to be something that, with some of the new features that we add, you're going to need a high-level pet. The game is going to be some of the things that we're going to be adding are going to be very, very challenging. And so you're going to want a high-level pet so you can enjoy that new content. And we want to continue to provide new features and provide new content and harder content and easier content, like the recent dungeon that we just released too. For newer players, we want to provide content for a game that'll last 10, 15 years. We want this to be a game that we've all played MMOs, and we've all fallen in love with them, and we've all, played some of those MMOs for, 5-7 years, whatever. And we want Realm of the Mad God to be the same thing. This pet system is something that we'll continue to tweak and continue to add to, and hopefully you guys continue to enjoy it.
Patience, my dear grasshopper. Patience. Thank you, everybody, for submitting Q&A questions for this RealmCast. And that concludes this RealmCast Season 2, Episode 5. If you would like to continue the conversation, please tweet at us using the hashtag RealmCast at ROTMG_news for Twitter, Facebook.com/ROTMG, and our blog, which is blog.wildshadow.com. And of course, we always are on the forums.wildshadow.com. Email us your artwork at artists.rotmg@gmail.com. Thank you for listening.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, guys.
We're going to be ending this with Crack Loot. So thank you to Crack Loot for this outro.
Let's do this. You can find me in Medusa, or you can find me in Jin. You can find me in Sprite. That's where the battle begins. You can find me in Ogre, or maybe Beholder. You can find me in Cyclops. I'm all about the high drops. So get your game up, get your fame up. Time to play the realm again. Time to play the realm again. Get your game up, get your fame up. Time to play the realm again. Time to realm again. It doesn't really matter where you see me. I'll be murking Godlands on my TV. And could you tell me who the best is? Definitely not the spammers at Nexus. I'm talking about the 8 out of 8s, not the level 1s that are fresh out the gate. Back in the day we used to yell train, TP to me and gods would get slain. Chilling at Nexus, who's got the pots? Fighting in the pyramid, who's got the tops? No free gear, don't beg and plead. Please don't yell, we know how to read. Oh, look, an incantation. Time to take this battle to the basement. Oryx, you're drunk, I can smell the booze. Why even fight? You know you're gonna lose. Especially now that we got the pets. Here comes the fight, please place your bets. Aw, you're such a loser. Ran to the cellar, you're such a boozer. Probably gonna drink and cry, moan and whine. Stand and fight, homie, grow a spine. You're always talking smack to us. Now it's time to back it up. So we fought our way into the last room. Oryx, it's time to meet your doom. Paladins, warriors, boost me, buddies. Nice done, Oryx, can't shoot me, buddy. Wizards drop bombs like Nagasaki. Even the rogues are starting to get cocky. Oh dang, we all got confused, running around like a bunch of fools. Somebody call the priest. We all could use a little bit of HP. I think we made the mad god madder. He's got wine inside his bladder. He's an angry kind of dude, but it's time for this rap to conclude. But to sum up what had happened, Oryx talked and we went slapping. You can find me in Medusa, or you can find me in Jin. You can find me in Sprite, that's where the battle begins. You can find me in Ogre, or maybe Beholder. You can find me in Cyclops. I'm all about the high drops. So get your game up, get your fame up. Time to play the realm again. Time to realm again. Get your game up, get your fame up. Time to play the realm again. Time to realm again. So we close the realm, and Oryx got mad. We'll play again, and we'll bring it back. It's time to play the realm again. Time to realm again. So get your game up, get your fame up. Time to play the realm again. Time to realm again. Get your game up, get your fame up.